In this section, we're going to talk about person-centered assessment, or knowing the individual. And I don't want you to get stressed out or concerned that as a business owner, I'm asking you to go in and do a new assessment. This is really about getting to know the person that you're providing care to in a sensitive way. It's not a lot different than getting to know a good friend, though, somebody that you hope is going to be a good friend, but you don't know really well right now. And then it's also about how you share that information so that we all continue to know them better and better, always providing more and better care. Again, promoting that positive emotion, the whole goal of habilitation therapy. So there's 4 components to person-centered care, and one is valuing and respecting persons living with dementia and those who care for them, treating people living with dementia as individuals with unique needs, seeing the world from the perspective of the person living with dementia, and creating a positive social environment for the person living with dementia. And that will help develop a therapeutic relationship. So what we'll learn today in this section is that you'll be able to list 3 components of a comprehensive assessment, identify who should be involved with the assessment process, and describe communication strategies to promote sharing of information among the care team. And again, I hope that this for you is promoting the idea that you are part of a team, that you're going to sensitively learn about the person you're providing care to, in addition to what's provided you in the formal assessment that we do, and that you're going to share that back to us here in the office so that we can share it to the rest of the care team. Or if there's a notebook in place in the home, how you sensitively provide what you've learned about someone. Mary loves blueberry muffins in the morning, and I notice she is more willing to take a shower if there's a blueberry muffin afterwards. Would be an example of the way you might write a note so that the next person coming in could learn from what you have gained in knowledge, so that Mary's care is always put at the center. I do want to say it certainly is not going to be saying to a team member, she didn't like it when you did this, she likes it better when I do that, because a team really lifts, everybody lifts each other up, nobody puts anybody down. So we're going to be fruitful in our relationships on all aspects of the team. So this is Maria Lopez, and if we're going to provide care to Maria Lopez and she's going to be at the center of the care, there are things we're going to want to know about her, including her accomplishments, important roles she's played. Was she a mother? Was she a wife? Was she the president of a company? Was she a journalist? Was she a physical therapist? Did she run track? Did she play basketball? Was she a swimmer? These are the kinds of things we might want to know. What are her preferences? Does she like to be called Maria or Mrs. Lopez? Does she like tea or coffee? Does she like a big meal at lunchtime and a light dinner? These are preferences. Does she like her to sit outside and in the yard, or is she a homebody? Does she like to get out and do errands? What are her coping strategies when things get stressful? And who are the significant people in her life? And what is her meaning of home? So it's important to us to learn these things. We often think about the home that somebody's living in now as their home, but as Alzheimer's progresses, people are beginning to reminisce more and more and more about their childhood home. And so their meaning of home, even though they may live in an apartment now or assisted living, might be the farm that they grew up on. And that's what they think of when they think of home. So it's important for us to take time to get to know these things. There are 7 domains of an assessment, and we go in as the initial person entering the home prior to setting up care for somebody, and we do a fairly robust assessment, although there are times that we get very fast referrals and need to get started very quickly. And so again, as you get to know your client better, you'll be adding information by providing that back to the office through your general comments, maybe a phone call. Certainly if there's a notebook in the house, information sensitively written. So we do want to know about the cognitive status of someone, and that is a baseline. This is usually completed by a trained professional. This is oftentimes even information I'm gathering from a medical chart. Sometimes though, we're just given information from a family member. They may not have a lot of good information. We just need to take what we've got. We don't need to know where their functional abilities are, and we can see this change not only day to day, but it can be different in the morning versus the evening. Someone may have an easier time feeding themselves earlier in the day when they have energy, but decline later in the evening or during a period of sundowning. So we need to know what their functional abilities are. We should know what the behavioral and psychosocial symptoms are. Are they feeling defensive and some anxiety? Are they a little in denial? They no longer know they have Alzheimer's disease. They like to isolate. They can't believe someone's coming in their home. Do they get agitated if people are too nearby? Are there other medical conditions? The medical status is important to know. What is their living environment? Is it assisted living? Is it an apartment? Is it their original childhood home? We care for some people who are living in the home they were born in 80 years ago. How do things look from a safety perspective? And again, we initially do an assessment and we're looking at safety, but sometimes things can change. Certainly, we want to know if there's areas of concern as they change. And then is there any advanced planning? So again, by and large, this is the parts of the assessment that we go in and gather first. But you may also find that you're able to add to that assessment. So the initial assessment is done by me or by our nurse or by our client coordinator. And we gather as much information as we can, both from the medical reports that we have access to, from the reports of their family who give us insight into how their family member is doing, and from the person themselves who we can watch and observe and talk with, who may or may not have an understanding of their strengths and their limitations, but who reveal a lot in our conversations and in our first time assessment. And we're going to get that assessment done for you. And you're going to find that as we go along, that you will also be able to provide some information back, so that maybe I'm told, oh no, he never gets dressed, but you on his own, but you are arriving and finding if you just lay the clothes out in the correct manner, that John can dress himself. These are things that you're going to learn and certainly share back with us. And we always want to hear from the person living with dementia, hear from their family and friends, hear from other care providers, and we respect and honor everything that everybody's saying. We never deny what they are telling us as true, even though we may see things a little bit differently. And then again, I gather information from clinical records and observation. But whenever we interact with somebody, we are again doing some observing and assessing, because any diagnosis of dementia is an ever-changing thing. We have good days and bad days. We have good moments and bad moments. So physical abilities, verbal skills, and emotional well-being can change throughout the process. And it's important that you share what you know so that we can update care plan and provide consistent care across the whole spectrum and maximize their health. So what did we learn in this section? That we want to know who the person is, and we want to know them more than just a name and an address and their age, and more than just a medical condition or a mental status, cognitive condition. We want to know who they are, what makes them unique, their accomplishments, preferences, coping strategies, who they have in their life that is significant to them. We want to understand the 6 domains of an assessment, and if you become aware of any information, you can share that back to the office. We always start with the person living with with the dementia, who can share information to us on how they're feeling for that day. And then their family and friends, other care providers, and we get updated records. Your observation skills are extremely important to us, and we want to hear from you if you see physical abilities changing, verbal skills changing, or certainly any change in emotional well-being. And it's important that we do that so we can continue to provide the best quality of care possible.